Hey everyone, it's Karlie.
Hey, it's Shamina, and we're emotionful. So today we have a very special guest. So please bear with me while I read her lovely bio here. This is very well written, by the way. So our guest today is Morgan Lavender. Morgan is a holistic health coach who works alongside women to help them build confidence, create sustainable habits, and prioritize their health and happiness. After virtually graduating in May of 2020 with her master's in health promotion, Morgan decided to harness her personal struggles with depression, anxiety, and fear of the future into creating her business, Root to Wellness. Inspired by the interconnected root system of the aspens near her Colorado home, Root to Wellness consists of coaching and self-guided programs that provide education and tools to help women achieve their wellness goals using a holistic, integrative approach. Her extensive research on health and happiness as a master's student helped her design an evidence-based structure for clients to help them succeed. The essence of her work is to facilitate self-growth by helping her clients identify their core mind, body, and spirit challenges so that they can overcome them with confidence. As a yoga instructor, she brings a healing presence to her work through compassion, empathy, and mindfulness, and invites her clients to participate in her guided meditations and yoga practices. Morgan has worked with women around the world to help them cultivate self-love, create habits that promote joy, practice self-care, and crush their personal health and wellness goals.
Ooh.
So,
Without further ado,
let's get emotionful and have Morgan in here with us.
yes.
Morgan, can you hear us?
I can. Hey, Shamina. Hey, Karlie. So nice to meet you, Karlie.
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Oh.
Wait,
hey.
There we go.
We did
it. Welcome. Thank you for being on with us today.
Thank you so much for having me the entire 2 weeks late. I'm so excited to be here. I know, Shamina, I haven't seen you in years at this point. And Karlie, I feel like you're like my sister. Me listening to these episodes, I feel like I've gotten so close to you both.
Well, actually, I used to join Shamina when we would go to your classes. And I feel like doing your classes with yoga is what got me into yoga. And now I do it like with Adrian on YouTube and stuff. But
that is so awesome. Oh my gosh. Love to hear it.
Fun fact, when Karlie and I were at USF, we would go to like the fitness classes on campus, and Morgan was actually one of our yoga instructors. And so that was the first introduction we had into Morgan.
yes.
Pretty intense one, I can imagine. Kind of a full force, full hour with me yelling at you to relax. So hopefully it all went well.
It did.
Yes.
So we wanted to have you on. I know that you and I have kind of talked a couple of months back kind of about like your business and what you do, but I'm really kind of gravitated towards the holistic and integrative approach, because I think as a health and wellness coach, that's very different than what we traditionally see. And it's like, you have to work out, you have to count your calories, you have to do this, you have to do that. So like, it's like a no excuses type of mentality and being very like self-disciplined, but yours is very different from that, and something I very much kind of gravitate to. And we usually don't see a lot as women in our culture. That's not like, this is targeted towards us and this is what we see on social media and everything. It's more of like, hit the gym, get a big butt, and count protein or whatever we are supposed to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I am super, super passionate about everything that you just said because of all of the reasons we are just like preached at constantly, whether it's on social media or through marketing and all these things, that health is just looking hot. And I'm just so sick of that message. I ended up getting my master's in health promotion. I graduated a couple of years ago now because I was so interested in a holistic approach to health and wellness. When I met you all at USF and I was teaching yoga, I was at the time going to school or going back to school, getting my second undergrad degree so that I could apply to physical therapy programs. I thought that like physical health was everything and anything it could be. I mean, even when you both took my yoga classes, it was very physical. It was very much like, let's do core today, let's pump it up, pump it up. And I learned that that's not everything. So when I was in school and working with the doctors and working as an assistant in the physical therapy offices, I would have clients come up to me and I'd be working on the exercises with them, their knees, and we would get to talking because that's kind of my jam is getting to know the person. And they would tell me, hey, by the way, like, yeah, I've been feeling really down or anxious and I'm not eating well. And I'm having this relationship that is changing with my family because of this injury. And I was like, hold on, we got to call a timeout. So like, what's the doctors? And I said, why are we not talking to our patients more? I understand that this is physical therapy and I understand that we're here to fix the physical body, but so much more is going down with this single person. And they said, yep, we don't have time for that. And I said, that's not okay. So I had a big problem with that, kind of just like switched my gears, changed my direction, and said, screw PT right now. I love the industry. I love that the amazing things that physical therapists do for people's bodies, but I was ready to do something much more holistic and whole body. So I got really, really amped about it and wanted to learn a lot about mental health, especially too.
So did you decide to, because obviously you were in Florida for undergrad and then you got your master's in Colorado. So how did that change occur?
So this was fun. I had graduated before from Florida State with my my bachelor's in psychology, and then I focused on sports psychology, blah, blah, blah. All these things happened. Went back to school at USF, got that second undergrad. I took is it the GRE? I don't even remember anymore. Yeah, took the GRE, was sitting in the test, and I was just like, screw this. I don't know if this is for me, whatever. It'll be fine. Got out of the test and walked into my car, and I just had this insane gut feeling that said, Morgan, this might not be what's right for you. Going to PT school might not be the right path right now. And while I was sitting in my car, straight from the GRE, I started looking up programs in Colorado. I didn't know what for. I just knew I loved Colorado. I've lived here very short periods of time in the past. So I was ready to make a move because also my mental health where I was living in Florida was super affected by like my social circles. And I was just kind of ready to do my own thing. So I looked up schools in Colorado. And lo and behold, something called health promotion came up. And I said, what the heck is that? And while I was in the car, I called the director of the program at the time. She got back to me later that night. We talked on the phone for like 3 hours. And I was like, yes to everything you're saying. This is connecting so much more deeply with who I am and what I want to do. So that's kind of how Colorado happened. It was just a kind of a gut feeling to say, I'm good with Florida for now, and I'm ready to move on and do something different. And the stars aligned, as they say.
So are you in Colorado all by yourself? Like, do you have any, I mean, obviously you have friends and stuff now, but like when you went, was it initially just like you packed up your things and went?
So I was living in Tampa. I had a roommate, but my boyfriend was living in Tampa at the time too. And I told him, yo, I'm going to Colorado. You're welcome to join, but I'm going. And it really worked out that he was able to just transfer locations for his job. So we moved out here together. First time we moved together. So that was another fun experience. Still living together. He's great, awesome life partner, but all is well. But yeah, so I was really lucky to have him come with me. But I told him, I was like, yo, I got to do this for me. If you're coming, awesome. If you're not, that's fine too. And then over the past few years, I've been really fortunate to be able to create, like you said, new friends here. My brother and his girlfriend live out here now. Hopefully my mom moves out here pretty soon. So it's been a great home and we're starting to set some roots.
That's awesome. And I totally agree with you that I feel like it's important to approach like your health like as a whole, because yeah, you could physically be fit, but you know, you might not mentally be at your best, especially if you have a lot of things going on, and that does play a factor and can, you know, determine how you are going about your other, you know, parts of your health.
Yeah, totally. And also kind of like you touched on in the beginning, Shamina, how what we see on social media is like the quote unquote standard of what fitness looks like or what nutrition looks like, and like all of these things. And those people are likely not necessarily experts in those fields. Sometimes they just have a big following and they say, here's what I eat every day. And it's 4 grains of like 4 pieces of lettuce and 3 grains of rice. And I'm like, yo, this is not okay. So having like a huge overarching conversation about what is truly health. And health is so much more than just the absence of disease. And it's so much more than having a 6-pack, which is not necessarily healthy, or looking this way, or eating these things, or meditating for 4 hours a day. It's so much more than just one thing at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah, I feel like I'm not big into like physically working out. And I will say that I feel like that is because growing up, like not growing up, but like my ex, that was a big thing. And I felt pushed to the point where it's like, no, I'm not doing that now, but I do slowly want to get back into that because, but I want to do it at my own pace and what works for me. Because I'm the type of person, if you push me, I'm very stubborn, and now I'm not going to do it ever again because you pushed me when I told you I didn't want to do it anymore, and you told me to do 2 more, and now I'm never going to do it again.
Ah, yes, I love the feminine power.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Don't tell me that I have to do something. I'm very stubborn, and now I'm going to show you that I will never do this again.
Snap, snap, snaps.
Yeah.
And I think it's really like difficult for like women to even like work out in general, because it's like I'll go walking around my neighborhood and I have like really baggy like running shorts on, or just like a t-shirt, and I'm getting catcalled, or I'm getting stared at, or I'm getting watched, or like going to the gym is like this huge ordeal. And there's a lot of like self-esteem that comes into play, particularly for people who are trying to kind of get physically fit and feeling uncomfortable because they're comparing themselves to everybody else in the room, or feeling like they're being judged, or, how do I look when I'm lifting this weight, or can you see this, or I need to, my outfit needs to look the best because I'm going to the gym, and that means something. And so I think particularly for women, there's almost more barriers and challenges trying to be just from the physical fit side.
Absolutely. Like this is an exercise that I do with some of my clients who come to me and say that they quote unquote want to lose weight. First, we talk about why. Why is that a number that you're focused on? Is it a body image thing? Is it a health thing? Like, what is your reasoning for wanting to lose weight? And we do an exercise where we talk about the beauty standards that are put on women versus men. Like, okay, let's paint the ideal male. Maybe he's this tall, maybe he has hair. I don't know. Some people are into bald guys. Like, they have teeth, maybe, I guess, cool. And then we have a 44-page list of all the things that women have to have. And as we continue to talk, like when I talk to my clients who come in and say, I'm here to lose weight, they're realizing, oh, shoot, maybe it's a lot more because of those barriers and those images that people in society are putting on us, rather than because I want to feel strong, or I want to feel confident in my skin, or I want to do this or that. So it's definitely a combination of being uncomfortable going to the gym and working out, because sometimes you just feel like there are eyes on you, and not in like a self-centered way of like, ooh, everyone's looking at me, but like, oh shoot, I'm doing squats and I know that my leggings are a little thin today, and I don't know, I'm nervous to see what guy or girl, whoever's checking me out when I'm just trying to work out. And yeah, it stinks to feel uncomfortable when you're just trying to break down barriers and get stronger, or feel a different way, just feel more energized.
So
I think
go ahead.
I just wanted to point out that I like that you like, why, like, is it that you want to get stronger? Because I feel like for me, like, that's why I'm at that point now where it's like, no, I just want to like feel good and be strong, like feel strong, So I think that's awesome that like when they say they want to lose weight, you're like, well, why?
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, and I know that there are some health coaches who specifically just focus on weight loss, and that's like their grind, and that's great for them and whatever. But for me, I've talked to women and I've screened women who have said, I want to lose weight because my wedding's coming up and I want to be able to fit into this dress. And I say, okay, I'm not a good fit for you. And that's fine. You're welcome to have your own goals. But as an overarching theme of health and wellness, then you and I won't necessarily vibe together as a coach and client, because unless we can break down the barriers of why you feel like you need to fit into that dress and why you feel like it has to look this way and da 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 for all these Instagram pictures, then maybe you can find someone else to work with. And there are plenty of other chicks or guys who are going to be there for you.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. So there's something in your bio, Morgan, that I wanted to like highlight on, something basically to the effect of is like working through your own like depression and anxiety and like fear of like the future and propelling you through that and into kind of this business that you created for yourself, the Route to Wellness. So can you talk to us a little bit more kind of about that experience in particular for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So graduated ahead of the pandemic, whoop-de-doo, had no idea what was going to happen. Was supposed to have a job, didn't happen, started the day before the job, blah, 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 all these things that happen to a lot of people. Was offered a job with huge company and fully remote. I said, okay, great, that'll do. I guess I just need money right now. I found myself working insane hours, about like 18 or 15 to 18-hour days, only because I personally struggled with saying no to making more money. I found that I didn't feel that I had a purpose other than just sitting on my computer and working. I would not sleep well. I found myself very anxious, struggling with depression. At the time, my boyfriend and I were also living in a house in the middle of the mountains in Colorado, which sounds lovely and glamorous, but the weather was not helping my mood at all. SAD was definitely in effect as well. And I was super fortunate to have my partner, my boyfriend, say, yo, this is not who you are. I can see that you've fallen into this kind of pit, and you're not getting dressed any day. You're hardly showering. Like, I'm not making eye contact with him. He was noticing all these signs and symptoms of my depression, which I've had historically in the past, and of my anxieties when I talk about how much money I'm making or not making, and how I don't feel like I'm living up to my full potential, and all of these things building up and building up. And luckily, because of that conversation, I was able to recognize what was happening and say, okay, you're right. I'm ready to take a pause. I'm ready to pull back, and I'm ready to just focus on myself again, do what I'm passionate about. And also everything that I just learned for the past 2 years in my master's, like, let's put that to work and let's build something that I'm actually really proud of and excited about. So because of my struggles with mental health that I was particularly put into because of the job that I chose to do, I was able to propel myself forward and say, okay, let's utilize those feelings and those sensations to help me dig myself out of it. And it's not always easy to dig out. I was lucky to have people to support me. And I was lucky to have the coping skills that I've learned through my program and through therapy to help me work through the whole process and then turn it into a business.
I think that's so awesome, because I think a lot of people can relate to that feeling, especially with the pandemic of not knowing work-life boundaries when you're working remote, and like knowing of like when it turns 5 o'clock, just you have to shut your computer and just put it to the side, because it is so much easier when you're at home. And I think it probably took a lot of people, if they still haven't even already learned that boundary. And I know for me at my past job, when we went remote, I struggled with that because I was always concerned, like, oh my God, am I going to meet my monthly quotas? And so I was worried that I wouldn't. So I would be at 9 o'clock at night talking to clients, trying to schedule with them, because I was concerned that I wouldn't meet my quotas. And then, it turned into a thing, but I realized, like, I can't do this anymore, like and I feel like that was partially what led me to quit that job, because it was just like, this is not okay. And the fact that some of these businesses allow that, like, if they're noticing that you're working 15, 18-hour days, it should be like, Morgan, it's okay, and kind of like set those boundaries of like, even if it's just like if you're logging into a computer, maybe after a certain time you cannot log in. Like maybe the company, like I feel like there should be boundaries like that, because I feel like definitely with the pandemic and people starting to work remotely who had never done that before, learning those boundaries was, maybe still a process for people and they haven't even done that.
Yeah, totally. Boundaries are really tough for people to set. Definitely, I could speak up with experience on that. And also, I think hopefully I'm seeing trends are shifting with different generations, but we identify typically so strongly with our job and so strongly with characteristics of being hardworking and determined and like no quit attitude and all of these things, that rest is not seen as a productive thing in a society. Luckily, things are maybe ish shifting slowly but surely, but rest, self-care, mental health, boundaries, those things are not really looked upon as celebrated enough yet. I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I will say that I think I would say I feel like with my generation and even the younger, it is starting to be a priority of like, yo, work's not everything. But like you said, I think it'll be a slow shift to actually um incorporate that into a working business and stuff, because right now it's kind of run by the older generations. But I do hope within time, because yeah, I agree. I think like as you grow up, you're programmed to like, what do you want to do for the rest of your life? And it shouldn't be like, what job do I want to do? It should be like, what do I enjoy and what can I do that kind of works with my life, instead of, me having to turn my life upside down for a job.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely. And I think it's really difficult because our generation and then Gen Z, they're starting to identify it. And so we're trying to make it a priority. But when we do, we're left with like this guilt of, but what do I do now? Like if I'm allowing myself to rest, then I'm being lazy. I should be doing something else. I need to start working out. Like maybe I should eat better. Okay, well, maybe I'll do this now. And we fill it with other things that help us feel like we're being productive, even though like it's our rest time. And so I think the work's not done yet, because like step one is like identifying like this is a really big priority that we should shift our focus to. And then now it's how do we unlearn the guilt that we're feeling, or even the shame, because I work a lot with my clients of well, I can't call out of work because they need me, or I'm such a pivotal part of the company, and I'm like,
Oh,
are
I
you
hate when people say, well, like, not that I hate when people, but it's like, bro, they'll drop you in a minute. Like, you have PTO. I remember I think I told Shamina, but when I put my 2 weeks in at my job, I had like a week worth of sick time, and I Googled that shit. And not Google, but I looked in the employee handbook and they don't pay you out for sick time. So you best believe I called out like every other day for sick time, because I was like, you are not keeping my week's worth of pay that I saved up because you don't pay out for sick time. And so it got to a point they knew what I was doing, because I was just calling out every other day. And I was like, yeah, you're not getting that from me. So, but yeah, I think we should definitely use our time. And you're right though, Shamina, like a lot of people feel guilty using their PTO. And one, I think the US in general, like 2 weeks PTO, really, like you think that that's enough? First off, it's just so ridiculous. But then the fact that they make people feel guilty using it, and it's just like, and I will say there are some companies out there who like every year their PTO, it doesn't roll over. So you literally are only given 2 weeks, because if say you didn't use that 2 weeks last year, it's not rolling over. And I think that's ridiculous too. But
it's a whole nother episode.
Yeah, I'll get into a whole rant. Don't get me started, because I could go for days. But I was also going to point out one thing that I think is kind of, I don't want to say it's a downfall with the younger generation, but is I think it could be, is the amount that we use our electronics. Because like I'm trying to be, because I think technology is awesome and it has its benefits, but then there are parts where it's like you have to know when to put it down. And like I'll catch myself, like I've literally set timers for like social media to where like I can only be on it, and then my phone will be like, oh, you've used it all for today. but I'll catch myself like playing games on my phone right before bed. And then I'm like, no, I try to like put my phone to the side before going to bed. And I'm trying to get better at it. But I feel like that's like a big thing with the younger generation that, that can affect your mental health, especially if you're comparing yourself to like these models on Instagram which I mean,
Mhm.
for me, I don't know. Shamina can vouch. I barely know how to use social media. So
Yeah, Karlie, you're absolutely right. I mean, I also set those timers on my phone and I catch myself saying, ignore 15 minutes, one more minute. And
Mhm.
it's doing exactly what it was created to do. I mean, I don't know if you guys have you watched Inside by Bo Burnham, the special?
Mm-mm.
Love it.
Okay, I can talk about that ad nauseum, so I won't go too much into it. But in one of his songs, I'm like absolutely obsessed. In one of his songs, it's all about the internet and how it was literally created to do exactly what it's doing, to make us addicted. And it's doing exactly that.
Mhm.
And I've worked with clients specifically on that. Their goal is, I want to learn how to put my phone down.
Mhm.
And we'll work on that, just that one thing, because it's not just that. Like you said, it's affecting people's mental health on so many levels. It's affecting their physical well-being. It's affecting their spiritual well-being, and like
Mhm.
so many different things. So yeah, you're totally right. The phones are scary.
It's so crazy. I know like when we were in the thick of the first era of the pandemic, because who knows what will happen. I did a thing like a 1 month challenge where I did not go on any social media, none. And it was like, I want to say like the first like 3 days, it was hard. And then after that, it wasn't like a really big deal. But I feel like honestly, like, and not to use that as an excuse, but I feel like now the reason why I do keep social media to an extent is for this podcast to promote this. Although
Mhm.
obviously I catch myself not on the social media, not for this podcast. But I think that's why I've not done like the 1 month cleanse since, because I want to, have the ability to promote this if I want. But yeah, it is hard because I'll catch myself with the TV on my phone. And it's just like, what am I, and sometimes I get mad at myself because I'm like, what am I doing? Like, am I so unsatisfied with just watching TV that I have to occupy myself even more by having by having my phone in my hand? And so I do try to
Mhm.
challenge myself that sometimes, like, put it down. Like, if I'm gonna look at it, do it during a commercial, but like be conscious enough that so definitely like you'll if you don't have timers, you'll be on your phone and an hour will go by and you're like, oh my God, like, did I just be on TikTok for an hour? Like, it's crazy.
It's scary.
Mm-hmm.
It is. So, Morgan, I'm really interested to know what type of results that you see with your clients utilizing this holistic approach, because it is very, very similar. And you and I have kind of talked before about like the similarities between what you do and what I do as a therapist. And so there's a lot of middle ground that we share. And so I'm wondering, kind of from your perspective, what types of results do you see utilizing this program and utilizing your education and your background?
Yeah. So overall, just in case people don't really understand or know much about the difference between therapy or coaching. So therapy in general is created to help you heal things sometimes from the past. Whereas coaching is focused on the present, or the present and the future. So it's focused on where you want to be. And yes, very, very future focused. So that's kind of a general overlay of what the difference is. And results that I have seen. So I do two different things now within my business. So I have the Joy Route, and then I have just one-on-one coaching. And then my clients have the option, if they want to combine those to get coaching while they do the Joy Route. So the Joy Route is very much just a holistic approach to wellness. It's an online program that you can do at your own pace. You have unlimited access, all those things. This is not a sales pitch for it, but that's just what it is. And what it does is it gives you kind of an overview of everything that has to do with health and wellness in different modules. Not everything, because that would be impossible and way too much for people to absorb. But for example, like one of the modules is all about reconnecting with yourself. So as a woman, you'll learn about your hormone cycle, you'll learn about practicing self-love, you'll learn about rest. Another module is all about re-energizing, so learning about sleep and working out and things like that. So results from the Joy Root have been different depending on what people came in with. So for example, I've had women who have really, really attached with the reboot modules. And within those modules, it's all about rebooting your brain to practice positivity. So whether that's through meditation, whether that's through this thing called the model that I talk about in my modules, a lot of women have really strongly connected with just that piece and being like, oh my gosh, thank you so much for teaching me that. I use the model every single day and it's helped me create more positive results in my life. Whether for them that's learning how to talk to their partner in a different way, or learning how to create a morning routine or a bedtime routine. So it really depends on what someone comes in with for the Joy Root, because now I've separated Joy Root and coaching, if people would like that. Whereas the one-on-one coaching, the results are very dependent on what they came in for. So like I talked about, I've had women who have come in and said, I want to learn how to put my phone down. And overall, people come out feeling much more confident, much more in charge of their lives, much more organized, and just happier, which is why I call them the Joy Root and then the one-on-one coaching. I studied specifically happiness and how to create health behavior changes that are sustainable to shift your brain so that you can become happier. So the results, whether people have done the Joy Root or they've done the one-on-one coaching, is the main two ones are confidence and just happier, which has been really, really cool to observe.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome.
I have a question. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
How long did it take you to like develop this business and also I don't know, how long have you been doing it? So how long did it take you to develop, and then how long have you been successfully, going? Because I feel like that's kind of scary, like creating your own business, and kind of like quitting your job and just taking that jump.
Yes, definitely scary. So I was really lucky because in my master's program, I had a lot of the tools and research that I'd already done. So all of that back work has already been pretty much done. And things that I had created for like different jobs that I've had at universities and stuff like that. So I was lucky to already have a lot of that pre-work finished. But I graduated in May 2020, so over a year ago now. And I officially signed up for my LLC on my birthday in 2020 in September, so that I remembered when I had to pay for stuff. So it'll be a year coming up. So that's kind of the timeline of how long I've had my business, but I've been doing a lot of the background work way before over a year ago. So, and a lot of it also has to do with experience. You also get access to like yoga videos and meditation and stuff like that, which, as you both know, are things that I've been doing for a little while now.
Yeah.
So it's taken a lot of time, but there's still a lot more to do.
I want to ask another question. Because it reminded me, you brought up the yoga, and what got you into yoga? And because and like, how did you get like the certificate for yoga?
Yeah. So I used to dance growing up. I had a few dance injuries and my dance teacher said, hey, why don't you try yoga? I tried it. I was like, why is everyone sleeping on the ground? This is so boring. I do not understand. I hate this. Fast forward a few more years. I was dancing a little bit in college and took up yoga a little bit more because my friends wanted to go to classes. And I said, okay, I'm kind of getting this, but not really. Cut to a few more years later. I was in AmeriCorps, super long story. My grandma passed away. I decided to come home. And my mom said, I have a great idea. I think that this would be something awesome for you if you got your yoga teaching certification. And I said, I don't know about that. Maybe I'll just go because it'll be like a fun workout experience. And I get to go to Costa Rica. That's where it was hosted. And
Wow.
Why not? I like to travel. So went to the program. It was a 2-week intensive, 2 or 3 week. Ooh, don't remember. It was an intensive program for a couple of weeks, and it completely changed my view of what yoga was. I learned so much more about the spiritual practice, how it helped my mental health at that time when I was healing with my loss. And it became so much more than just physical. So that's kind of the yoga background.
So before you went to this like retreat to get your license or certificate, you really I mean, you've done some classes here and there, but it wasn't like something that you had been practicing regularly, no?
Not really. With dance, I wanted to become more flexible and things like that. So I would maybe take some classes just to become more flexible, but it was never for the practice itself. It was just for like the physicality of it.
That's so interesting because, you know, I feel like at USF, I had done before me and Shamina had found you, because I think Shamina was going to you first and then like had invited me to a class or something. And then we just kind of were like, every Tuesday, let's meet up and this is what we'll do or whatever. But I had gone to a few and I was like, yoga is not for me. You know, I was just like, I'm too wild. This is too calm. You can't calm me down for an hour with this. And then, you know, I did the classes with Shamina and we really gravitated towards you. And then after graduation and stuff, I started doing the yoga with Adrian. And I've told Shamina, like, it's crazy, like how you said it really, you realize how intense it is, not only physically, but like mentally. Like there are some poses that I feel like I could probably do if I only cared about like the physical aspect of it. But mentally, I'm like, these are really challenging. And it's just like when you're really focusing and putting it in, I feel like some people don't give yoga the credit that it deserves, because it really kind of like challenges you physically and mentally, and like you really have to be like focused and aware.
Yeah, totally. And as I've continued my own practice of yoga, I've really fallen in love with the word practice, like so much that I use it ad nauseum with my clients, that everything really is a practice, right? So whether people are practicing to develop a new habit or just within yoga itself, like I try to do some sort of practice of yoga every single day. But sometimes that's me hanging out in a child's pose because that's what my body needs. And a lot of what I've learned about yoga over the years is how to tune into yourself and be like, yo, what's up, body? What do you need? Or yo, what's up, brain? Like, how you doing? Like, what's going on today? So it's been a really cool experience that the practice keeps on offering something new each and every time you come to the mat.
Oh yeah,
I really like that, you know, like checking in with your body. I talk to my clients a lot how our bodies have a way of communicating with us, but we don't speak the same language that they do. And so we miss the signs. You know, we take anxiety as something that's wrong. Like, why am I feeling this way? Nothing's actually stressing me out. There's no like precipitating event that should be causing this. Or, you know, simple things like we're hungry and maybe we're a little more irritable, but we're, you know, it's nothing, I'll eat later kind of thing. And so I talk a lot about being able to speak the same language as our bodies and our minds, because they're constantly communicating with us and constantly trying to tell us something, but we're always misinterpreting it as something else or writing it off or minimizing it. And so being able to increase like our awareness of like, oh, when my body does X, Y, or Z, that means something, or I'm reacting this way for a reason, not because you're crazy or because something's wrong with you. Like your body is actually trying to tell you something.
Totally.
I think that you can ignore it for a while, but you're not really doing yourself any good, because the longer you ignore it, the more it's going to build up to the point to now your body's just going to blow up because you've been ignoring it. So maybe like, you know, whether it's like your body needs a rest and so you might be a little sore, but if you keep ignoring that, you're like, no, I got to push harder. And then, you know, it keeps going, and then you're going to have like a serious injury or something like that. Or, you know, whether it's something in your life is off balance, like your body knows. And I truly believe that, because I think that throughout what I've experienced, my body told me, like there was no, like I could try to ignore it, but it got to a point I couldn't ignore it anymore. And it was just like, in my face, like, you're not ignoring me anymore because I'm not going to let this go away until you handle it. And it's just crazy through the events. Then you see like, oh my God, like I should have listened to that little tiny gut feeling 5 years ago, but instead you ignore it. And now it's boom, a huge thing.
Yeah.
It's
And
crazy.
it's tough to start listening to our bodies. A lot of people just have a pretty intense disconnect. Like women who will come to me now and say, like, I want to lose weight, say, for example, and we'll talk about the why and blah, 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 blah. And turns out that they want to instead develop a healthier relationship with food. So we'll talk about, okay, so what did you eat today? How did that go? Not how many calories, not how many carbs, none of that bullshit. I hate that. But how did it go? How did you feel after you ate that? And they're like, oh, I don't know. I didn't really think about it. I just had to go back to work. I'm like, okay, how about tomorrow? Try just noticing how you felt. And then we'll keep talking about it. And over time, they'll realize that they were eating a lot of like inflammatory foods that upset their stomach, made them tired throughout the day, all of these things. And we're like, oh, so you came to me because you want a better relationship with food and because you want to feel energized. So how can we use food as a nutrition, as a tool to get to where you want to be? So it's totally true. When we have this disconnect and we're not mindful about the things that feel good or bad for us or neutral even, then it's going to be hard to want to change.
I feel like, and it, as you were saying it, I was like, I feel like there's such a disconnect between how we feel and what we're doing, because kind of like taking, like how you said, you'll have a client like after they eat, like, think about it for a second, how do you feel? I think sometimes like putting that time and energy into yourself is a scary thing for people, because you're just programmed to worry about other people and to go and always be on the go. And like how Shamina said, like, and you said about the rest, like, I think there's always that there is that disconnect, because resting is like not an acceptable thing. And so like you feel like you need to be doing something more if you spend your Sunday on the couch watching TV, or like you said, like, I think just initially starting to take that time to focus on you and like, how do I feel? It's a scary thing, because you're like, I think it's scary because you're realizing how much you don't understand about yourself. And then having to go through that process of like, oh my God, I really don't understand myself of who I am. And it's scary. And I think most times people just push that away and they continue with how they've been going the past however many years because it's worked. But really it's not working, because if it was, you wouldn't be reaching out for help or whatever it is. But it, change in any factor is scary, and especially when it's yourself, you're like, oh my God, I've not been doing a good job. Like, what?
And especially with everything that you were just saying, as women, our brains are trained to say, yo, take care of everybody else. You got to take care of the house, the kids, and it never ends. That it's really hard to convince ourselves to prioritize our own health or happiness. Like, whoa, that's a big switch for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And
especially women.
And I talk with my clients a lot because, like going back to the communication from our bodies, we miss those signals and those signs. And then it turns into like this avoidance. And so we don't want to deal with it anymore. So we put our energy into like people pleasing or taking care of others. And when we do allow ourselves to rest and pause, like that's where our symptoms come up, because we're not exerting that energy into something else. So it's like, oh, hey, just kidding, we're back. Like, you remember anxiety or like depression, like we're still here. And that's where, again, like people will busy themselves again, or like have to pick up like a second job or something, because that downtime is so terrifying, because the symptoms come back or the thoughts come back, and having to focus on themselves is not something that they're ready to do just yet. And, I think Karlie, you hit it like right on the head, is that like that vulnerability with yourself in and of itself is like that's a growing experience right there. Is like choosing to commit to yourself, making that decision for yourself is like ultimately the very first step for any type of like health or wellness in any aspect, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So Morgan, I have a final question for you.
Hit me.
When you come to Florida. No, I'm kidding.
So actually, I leave now. I can get on the freeway. I was gonna say I don't want this to end. It has to be a final question.
Well, you can definitely be recurring if that is something you want. You know me, I could talk all day, so we don't even have to have a topic. Just say you want to have an episode, and we'll find a topic.
Hit me up.
How has your mental health shifted, improved, whatever type of word you want to use there, since you decided to commit to yourself and choosing your own kind of happiness and fulfillment?
So I will say that there are some days, of course, that are much better than others. Some days I wake up and I say, oh, it would be so much easier to just have a 9 to 5. Like, screw this. I just want to know what I'm going to do every day. I want to have a set out plan. I don't even care if I'm interested in it. And then again, thank goodness for Nick, my partner. He goes, you know, that's not true, right? And I said, oh yeah, thank you. Thank you for pulling me back in. So there are definitely days where, even though I'm so passionate about my business, I love my business, that I get so overwhelmed that I'll just wake up, open my computer, and just want to close it back up because I don't know where to go next. There are days where I'm just like, oh my God, I'm 27 and I have to learn what TikTok is. Like, am I supposed to be doing dances to get these kids to follow me? Like, I'm just trying to get the word out there. Like, how does this work? So yeah, it can be super overwhelming and exhausting for sure. Like, for example, last week I was really lucky to go on vacation with my boyfriend and his family. We had a really nice time, but when you have your own business, there's never a second that you're not thinking about work.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you have work, then there's typically not a lot of chances where you're not thinking about it. So there are sometimes feelings of guilt if I'm not working on my business. There's sometimes feelings of stress if I'm not working on it, anxiety, those things pop up. But I will say because I've created this for myself and I'm super mindful of putting myself first and my needs first, I have such a better relationship with myself, with my brain, my heart, my body, all of these things, because I actually have the chance to be. Before, I never really had the opportunity to. I was just, like we were all just talking about, worried about everyone else, wanting to put my time and energy on everyone else, not resting, not taking the time. And now I've learned to accept that rest days are healthy. They're great. You need them. I've learned to accept that some days I won't get a lot of leads, or I won't be able to get a lot of words out, or maybe my post on Instagram only got X amount of likes. I'm like, oh no, this means I'm a failed, like whatever it is. When I have those thoughts, I've learned so much more how to approach them in a more positive way, because I've been putting a lot of work into the business and into my mental health. If it weren't for working on my business, I would say my mental health would be in a much darker place. And I'm super lucky, again, to just have continued support from friends and family who keep me motivated and keep me going, but also remind me it's okay to chill and just be on the beach today, or just let's go hiking and get out and get away. So overall, it's been a lot better, and I'm really happy about that.
And I just would like to point out that I think it's really important how you acknowledge, like, you're still going to have rough days. You know what I'm saying? But that's okay. Like, I don't think anyone on this earth is having a perfect day every single day. And they've never, there are days where you wake up and you're just like, man, I wish I could lay in bed all day and not do anything. And I think that's a valid and okay thing to wish. And it's okay to do it too, but whole nother episode we'll talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's okay to not be okay. And if a health coach came up to me and said, I'm happy all the time, I'm healthy all the time, like, whoa, I'd be terrified of that person. I wouldn't trust them. Like, that's just not a human. And I don't believe in working with robots. It's just not.
I was just going to say that's a robot. And I think it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to ask for help, whether that's a coach, a therapist, your friends and family, of just saying, like, I'm not okay and I need help.
Absolutely.
Definitely. And I think I was really excited for you to come on as a guest, Morgan, because I very much connect with your message, but there's another word for it. Your mission. That's it. Like, your mission and kind of what you what you stand for, because we do live in such a I don't know, culture that sometimes can be really great, but also can be very toxic, particularly for young women and the way that we view ourselves, the way that we view our bodies, the way that we think other people view ourselves. Yeah, I said that. Okay. I was like, that didn't sound right when it came out of my mouth, but I think it made sense. And I really just appreciated kind of this like candid conversation today, and normalizing and kind of validating like the everyday experiences that we all go through, and how you've been able to cultivate and create a business out of all of these things, and that it seems like you've kind of found your fulfillment, and that you've been doing these things all along. You just didn't know how to put them all together and cultivate them and make money from it. Like, okay, great, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it has been. Go ahead, Karlie.
Oh, I just wanted to hop on Shamina's wagon of the fact that I just, my love language is words of affirmation. So I tend to give that to other people. But I just wanted to let you know, like, I admire you because you really, like, I don't say this lightly, you really got me into yoga and like that appreciation, and like you helped it grow. I get emotional every episode. It's who I am. My love language is words of affirmation, but I want you to know that you did play a big role, whether you didn't even know me then or not. I was just a little girl in your class. Well, now I know we're the same age, but like you played a big role in my journey with yoga.
Wow, thank you so much. I'm taking a mindful moment to feel what my body's feeling. My palms are sweating from hearing you say that. So thank you. That's very, very kind. And thank you both so much for having me on. I would absolutely love to come back and just shoot the shit, keep talking, because this is all so important. I love what you're both doing. It's incredible.
Thank you. What are some resources if our viewers or listeners want to kind of check out more of what you do, get more information, any type of like socials or website? We'll also kind of post that when we promote the episode, but anything now that you'd like to kind of give out?
Can I ask a question before? Do you have to live in Colorado to have your services? Because I think that's a huge informative thing.
Yeah, great question. You don't have to live in Colorado. For coaching, you just would apply for the coaching. And then the Joy Route is just, like I said, total access anytime that you want. So you could just get that whenever. So socials, I have to remember my tags even. This is how old I am now.
Wait, I'm like, Shamina, what are our names?
So my Instagram is my name. It's just morgan.lavender, and lavender is spelled Lavender. Sometimes people ask if there's another A in there, but just another E. So morgan.lavender. And then, my TikTok for all those kids out there is Root to Wellness. So it's spelled Root, ROOT, the number 2 wellness. And that's actually the same as the website, roottowellness.com.
Perfect. Awesome.
And check out Morgan's TikTok, because you do make some awesome ass TikToks with transitions and all of the graphics and stuff. I'm like, okay, you go, girl.
Oh my gosh. Is hard. TikTok is hard, man. I don't have the energy for this social media stuff.
It's hilarious to try to figure out what's going on. Like, I made one really stupid TikTok that like went viral for no reason, had nothing to do with my business. And I was like, what is going on? This is not what I wanted. Mm-hmm. So, we're just out here learning. We're learning.
Yes, definitely. So we want to thank you so much for coming on. I think Karlie froze. Hopefully she comes back. But thank you so much for joining us, Morgan, and for, kind of talking about what you do and your journey, to your business, but also for yourself, and kind of finding this holistic way of living as well.
And thank you both so much. There she is. She's back. Thank you,
like, everybody. No, y'all were frozen, smiling, laughing. And I was like, this is unfortunate.
I was just thanking Morgan for being on and for sharing her story with us today.
Yes, thank you so much. And I apologize for my lateness. I
It's all
forgot
good.
I forgot today was Tuesday.
Hey, I was 2 weeks late, like I said in the beginning. So different time zone, it happens. So thank you
Yes.
both again for having me. And I
Yes,
look forward to chatting with you again soon.
Yes, absolutely.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh my goodness, Karlie froze again. So I guess I'll do our wrap up solo until Karlie's internet starts working. So we want to know, are you feeling full yet? If not, then here we go. We're back. I told our listeners, I was like, Karlie's internet froze. I'm doing our wrap up. So
I was gonna say, I'm glad you got things under control because I'm over here like,
so are you feeling full yet?
Are you?
Are you?
Are you?
Are you? If not,
Blue, are you?
Blue, are you feeling full?
Are you?
She's like, excuse me, don't talk to me. I don't know what you're talking about. If not, we want to kind of hear from you guys how you view wellness, how you view fitness, how you prioritize that in your life, what that means to you as an individual. Let us know, comment below, DM us on Instagram at emotionfulpod, like us, comment on Facebook at emotionful podcast, comment, subscribe,
like, share the love.
all of those things. We want to know. So we want to thank our patrons from Patreon. So thank you to Patrick Gallagher. Not Patrick.
I know, I was like, hold up.
Kevin Gallagher, my bad. Kevin Gallagher, Therese Gallagher, and Joanne Stewart. Thank you all for your continued support. And if you are interested in becoming a patron of ours or want to know more about becoming a patron, head on over and check us out on Patreon. You can go ahead and search Emotionful Podcast in there and see what we got going on.
Yeah, check it out. Check us out. I'm like hesitant because my internet's being sketch right now. But yeah, thank you everyone who continues to listen, support, and share.
Stay tuned next week.
Stay tuned.
Bye.
That's all for now, folks. Bye.